Hi, everyone. We have 2 viewers in right now. Seeing myself on screen is a little different. Actually doing it live. Let me do this. So it is 3:30. Can open up the chat. So I just sent the message out to everybody. You can type to the right of the video. I just sent available commands out to everybody. All right, so we have 2 viewers right now. I'm gonna wait a little bit because, you know, people are probably trying to like wrap up the last minute things, trying to get on here. Let me, while we do this, pull up some JotForm so I can screen share it with you. So for those of you that don't know the face and the name, I'm Cassie. I do your incentives for Young's Market, Washington. I have been introduced as head of the department. I am your department. I'm the one that does it all the time. And there's been a lot of changes going on lately from my end. Here, instead of seeing, once I go to screen share, I'll put those back on. Instead of from my department, from California, from outside the company. So I can talk to you about my part of the change. So with JotForm, suppliers are submitting incentives through JotForm now, which is going to lead to a more uniform look for incentives. If you watch the video that came out with the last master, the programs look different. So it now says pods, 90-day non-buy is the program, or unsold year to date. So you can kind of target a little bit better. And then you're submitting your recaps through JotForm. So if you have not been using JotForm for the month, yes, it is very tedious to do. It would be so much easier on Excel. I get that. Point of JotForm recaps right now is that you're doing it throughout the month so that you don't have to spend 5 hours at the end of the month or the beginning of the next month reconciling all of them. It also allows you for, this is the best example because I know this was a headache for all of us, is SO&D incentives. You had to recap them in January. Who has pictures from 4 months ago? So you can go into the form, submit it, it's done. It's gonna be in my database essentially that this is creating until the incentive pays out. Along with that is every Wednesday I send out a diver live tracking incentive. It's everything that diver says that you're making on incentives that are ending this month. Now, there were some issues with diver at the beginning of the month. So I just sent out, these are the incentives that are ending this month, just so you had kind of an idea of what was ending. And I am also including with that recaps that have been submitted from the teams. So submissions are going to stay in the system until suppliers pay out on them, because when you submit, my child just threw something that should have water in it and it's empty. So when you submit that picture, it creates a URL that the supplier can go to and see the actual picture. And for DMs, they're able to see those pictures as well. They can scan through it. And then I can also send them a PDF of all their submissions and they can just scroll on through. They only put 10 submissions per page. So, I mean, these files are going to get pretty large pretty soon. But this is all for good change. If we can show the team, the powers that be, that we as a team, so full book, Eastern, Western Washington, we can submit accurate, on-time recaps along with the live tracking, there is a small chance that I can get them to agree to allow me to pay out incentives sooner. However, that means that when we are submitting a JotForm, we need to make sure it's accurate the first time. Now, there is a learning curve of changing our workflow, and the deadline does seem pretty soon. I'm more flexible now. As we move on, my flexibility with the deadline is going to get smaller because I want us to get to the point where it's a 30-day turnaround instead of a 45 to 60-day turnaround for incentive payouts. So now that I've explained to you why I've done all this change and more electronic, and also with the URL for the JotForm, you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your tablet, you can do it on a Kindle, you can do it on an iPod. Like you can do it anywhere that you have a web browser. You can even do it on your home desktop. So wherever you're comfortable. So we still only have 3 viewers. I've seen it go up and down, but I have rambled on. I'm a square, not a circle. So rambling on is not my thing. I am excited about this process. So that is part of it. But let me share with you the JotForm and go through it. So let me zoom in. So in case you're watching on your tablet, you're not squinting. So this is the top of our recap form. I've made the dates bolded so that you can see when I last updated this. So I have to manually put in the recapped incentives. So once they're in the master, I have a formula that creates the title that I load into this recap form, and there it lives. And it also has all currently running incentives. So like I said, if it's on the master and it needs to be recapped, it's going to be on this form. And if it says pays into program, you can submit throughout the program. I am not going to pay it out sooner. I will pay it out when the incentive ends. Okay. So this is replacing that big Excel document. I mean, did anybody really enjoy filling out my Excel document that half the time lately seemed like it didn't work, and on the iPad it never worked, and then having to send it to your DM, and your DM loved having to reconcile it all. So like you can see, recaps for approvals will be pulled the 2nd of each month. April recaps will be pulled May 2nd. They were already pulled and already sent out. Like I said, I am being flexible on this. So I sent out what I did have, and I'm trying to get everybody caught up. So pretty simple. If you filled out a form before online, for the most part, your name, and on your iPad, it's going to start to predict. So I'm clearly on my desktop, but it will start to predict as you go into here what you want. And then you can select your, so these are in alphabetical by the branch. So I need to just make it alphabetical in general because it's a little hard. And I can make it to where the DM gets an email every time you submit. And from there, the DM can look at it. And if it looks good, she's already reviewed it. And if it doesn't, she can make changes to it. Your EID. So this is how I'm going to get it to your paychecks. If you do not know your employee ID number, please reach out to me or your DM. I have them. I have access to them. It is an ADP, but we want to make sure you are putting in the right number. So now let's talk about diver special premise. So we have our on and off premises, but there's a special premise, chains and clubs, Indie DSD. Off is going to have your Indie DSD, and chains and clubs, you're going to have your chains and clubs. So that is where you will find your premise. So let's just do off. Oops. Let's just do off. And so you can start typing the account number. That's going to be probably your most accurate, or your account name. So Rite Aid. And you can see all the Rite Aids that pop up, so you can see how typing in your number, the number would be more accurate. And this is the same. This is the same tool as up here. You can start typing the supplier name, the brand, the incentive number, or the incentive name. So like Heart of Remy was a popular one. But we can do Bogle. So here's Bogle, 1804008. You're like, and if you're thinking, I think that's the right one, but I'm not sure. You can scroll down here, the very bottom, type it in. And you can see, oh yeah, that is the one I wanted. And so, hold on, baby. Let me delete all this so we can do the searching again. So, depending on if the incentive lived on the green table or the blue table. The green table is the old format that you had to search by the premise, and then you had to scroll all the way across past the descriptions and then look at if it was on or off premise. So depending on where it came from, this first part here is going to look a little bit different. So this tells you if it's on or off. And so this tells me it comes from the green form. You do not need to know this. I just know this because I live in it. The new ones are going to say full book on, full book off, full book chains and clubs. Then it's got your supplier name, your incentive number, your incentive name, brands if they listed it. Oh, no, this is still part of the name, it looks like. It runs from 4 to 4. So this was one that ran from April to April, and it's paid out end of month or in a program. And these, if there was brands, it would be right here in between these two commas, but there's not. But there are item numbers. So you can see the item numbers here. And then you can type in your brand. So you can do Bogle, and you can add more if you want. Like if it was like the Taste of Washington where it had to have multiple brands within it, you could put that in there. You can also delete. And here's your number of cases. Now, if you're in an on-premise and it doesn't say anything about cases, you just need to have a feature, just put 1. I mean, you have to fill it out. That little asterisk there says you do. And then your estimated payout. This is going to be verified. So also on Wednesdays, let me go get that child that's yelling at me so that you can actually hear me. So on Wednesdays when I'm sending out the live recaps to everybody, DMs or PDs are also getting a copy of this, I guess you can say, of the recaps so that they can verify that, yeah, that is the account I intended to go to, type of account I intended to go to or not. Now here, because I am on the desktop, you have to say browse and it's going to bring up your pictures. But if you are on your iPad and you select browse, you have the option to take a picture right from here. So if you're in a store and you're like, oh, I forgot about that display. I know there's an incentive there for this. Let me just take a picture real quick, done. Or if you're in an on-premise account and there's a Tito's menu that you want to get paid out on, take a picture right there and upload it. And then you also have an option to send a copy to yourself. And again, this is going to start auto-populating more as it's going to yell at me because I don't have everything filled out, I don't think. It's going to start auto-filling everything in as you go along. And this here is an aid for you. It's a very condensed version of the master. It just gives you a way to look up the incentive up here to make sure you're doing the right one. Boop, boop, boop. And then you can preview answers. So this is a filled out version. You can print it if you'd like your own or submit it. I'm going to get a copy in my email. It says, thank you, my submission has been received. So here, let me show you. There's proof that I got it in. It comes in right away. It comes with this submission ID number that's generated by the JotForm program. And I'm going to open up because I did send a copy of it to myself. Inbox, JotForm. And so here is a copy of what it would look like when it comes into you. This is generated from JotForm. So it says, this is the name I put, my manager, my EID, my premise, the incentive I was looking at, the brands I claimed. And this is, if I wanted to verify that I put the right picture there, I did. So there we are. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. So that is JotForm. If you want to email me any questions that you might have came up with that you didn't put in the chat, if you're still a little confused about it, just let me know. I'm here for questions. I'd love to answer. I'd love to help. Yeah, I think that's it. It's been great chatting your guys' ear off. Thanks. Bye.